The city of Lagos sparkled like a jewel that night. Bright lights from tall glass buildings painted the streets with gold and silver. Music floated from roadside bars. Taxis honked endlessly, and food sellers shouted over the noise, selling roasted corn and spicy suya. In the middle of all this, there was one woman who made heads turn every time she walked past. Her name was Amara. Her name is Amara, the beautiful pregnant bride. Amara's beauty was the kind people whispered about. Her skin glowed like warm caramel. Her long black hair flowed like silk, and her baby bump only made her more graceful. When she walked into a room, men forget men forget their words and women stared with envy. But behind her beauty, there was something strange, something no one dared to say to her face. Everywhere Amara went, people caught a faint odor. It was sharp, soft, and heavy, like something rotten but hidden. The smell clinged to the air long after she left. Still, no one could believe such an ugly scent could come from someone so breathtaking. It became the city's strangest secret. The beautiful bride who smells. Amara tried everything to hide it. She bought the most expensive perfumes from the fancy meals shop in Victoria Island. She bathed 3 times a day in milk and rose water. She even lit scented candles in her apartment every night. But that smell always returned, seeping out as though it belonged to her blood. Her fiancé, Chuka, adored her. Tall, strong, and handsome, he worked as a banker and wore his suits like a movie star. When he held Amara's hand, the world melted away. Yet, even he noticed the whispers. His friends made sly jokes, his neighbors asked careful questions, and even strangers on the bus covered their noses when Amara passed. Still, Shuka refused to see the problem. They are jealous of your beauty, he told her. You shine so much that they must find something to pull you down. Amara smiled at his words, but deep down, her heart trembled. She knew it was not jealousy. The smell was real, and it was growing worse. At the salon one afternoon, while fixing her hair into soft coils, Amara heard 2 women whisper behind her. She is pretty, but something follows her. A smell, one said. The other laughed nervously. Amara stared into the mirror, pretending not to hear, but tears threatened her eyes. She had spent half her salary on perfumes that morning, yet it had failed again. Her best friend, Ngozi, was the only one bold enough to speak to her. Amara, this is serious, Ngozi said one evening as they sat in a glowing cafe decorated with fairy lights. People are talking everywhere. You can't ignore it forever. Amara lowered her head. She touched her belly gently and whispered, Ngozi, do you think my baby feels it too? The thought made her shiver. Back at her apartment, things became worse. Her landlord, Mr. Oleke, stood at her door with folded arms. His thin face looked even sharper in the hallway lights. Madam Amara, the tenants are complaining. They say a bad smell fills the building at night. If it continues, I will have no choice but to evict you. Amara's cheeks burned with shame, but she said nothing. She simply closed the door and sank to the floor, her heart pounding. Outside, Lagos carried on like a restless giant. Car horns screamed. Neon signs flashed in rainbow colors. Children ran across the street with roasted plantain in their hands. Yet, inside her room, Amara sat in silence. Her perfume bottles stood like soldiers on her dresser, useless against the truth. She stared at her reflection, at her glowing face and rounded belly, and whispered to herself, "Why me? Why now?" Morning came with noise. Motorcycles zoomed down the street. Hawkers shouted about fresh bread, and church bells rang from the far corner. Amara, dressed in a pink gown and wrapped herself in layers of perfume. As she stepped outside, she saw people move away from her as though pushed by invisible hands. Their eyes admired her beauty, but their noses betrayed them. She walked fast, pretending not to notice. At the supermarket, a mother pulled her child away as Amara reached for apples. The child asked aloud, "Mama, why does that fine auntie smell like gutter water?" The woman hushed the child quickly. Embarrassed, but the words stabbed Amara like a knife. She dropped the apples and walked out, her chest heavy. Later that day, she went to a bridal shop on Broad Street to fix her wedding gown. The gown was heavenly, white silk with pearls that glittered like stars. The shop attendant gasped at how stunning she looked. But then, one girl whispered to another, "Her beauty is like a rose growing from a dustbin." Amara heard it. She stood frozen, smiling weakly as tears burned inside. When she reached home, her friend Ngozi was waiting at her door. Ngozi wore a stylish red jumpsuit, and her boundary curls bounced in the light. "Amara, I warned you. People are cruel, and the whole city is talking now, even on social media." Amara's lips trembled. "What do they say?" she asked. Ngozi sighed. "They call you the sweet rose with a sour smell." Amara buried her face in her hands. "Why me?" she whispered. Ngozi hugged her tightly. "Don't cry, my sister. Love is stronger than shame. Chuka loves you. That is all that matters." But Amara wasn't sure. That night, when she lay in bed, the air around her grew thick again. She smelled it herself, now heavy and choking. It was no longer just gossip. It was real, and it was hurting her. Her landlord, Mr. Okeke, banged on her door at midnight. "Madam, open this door." His voice echoed through the hallway. Amara opened slowly, her heart pounding. Madam, people are threatening to leave this building. If the smell continues, you must go." His eyes were cold. Amara begged, "Please, give me time. My wedding is soon. Don't disgrace me." He shook his head, muttering, "Beauty without peace is a curse," and walked away. The next day, Amara visited her mother, Mama Ifoma, in Surulere. The house was old but warm, with flowers planted in small plastic buckets by the window. Mama Ifoma, round and plump, welcomed her with soft arms. "My daughter, you look weak," she said. Amara burst into tears. "Mama, everyone is talking. The smell, it is killing me. Tell me the truth. Did this start when I was a baby? Mama Ifeoma's hand trembled. She looked away. Amara, you don't need to carry this burden. Just marry Chuka. Everything will be fine. But Amara pressed harder. Mama, please, tell me if this smell has always been with me. Mama Ifeoma's lips tightened and she whispered, yes, since you were born, something strange followed you, but I prayed it away. I thought it was gone. That night, Amara walked back through the city. Rain fell hard and the streets glittered with reflections of neon signs. She wrapped herself in a shawl and moved quickly, but still people turned their heads. Two men drinking at a kiosk shouted after her, fine girl, but something is rotten. Their laughter echoed behind her. Amara clenched her belly and hurried on, her tears mixing with the rain. Unknown to her, a man watched from across the street. He was Detective Salami, tall with a pot belly and sharp eyes. He had received several complaints about a strange-smelling woman haunting markets and mills. Now he followed quietly, notebook in hand. Something about this case pulled him deeper. Amara reached home, soaked and trembling. As she entered her room, she noticed the candles she had lit earlier had gone out. The air inside was heavier than ever. She collapsed on her bed, whispering to herself, am I cursed? Her phone buzzed. It was Chuka. My love, are you safe? He asked. She wanted to tell him everything, but fear sealed her lips. The following morning, Detective Salami knocked on her door. Good day, madam. I am here because of some complaints, he said calmly. Amara's heart raced. Complaints? She asked. He nodded. Shops, neighbors, even strangers in taxi. They all say a strange odor follows you. I want to help, but I must know. Is there something unusual about you? Amara froze. She could not answer. After he left, Amara's mother arrived again. Mama Ifeoma's face looked older, her scarf slipping down her grey hair. My daughter, I cannot keep this secret anymore, she said. Amara sat straight, her heart pounding. What secret, Mama? With shaking lips, Mama Ifeoma confessed. Before you were born, your father offended a woman, a jealous mistress. She cursed him. She said his first child would be beautiful but would carry a smell no one could bear. Amara's words spun. She clenched her belly. So it is true, I am cursed. Mama Ifeoma wept. I tried everything. Prayers, herbs, fasting. I thought it was gone. But curses have long shadows. Amara felt trapped. Her beauty was now a prison, and her unborn child was inside that prison with her. The days passed quickly. Chuka noticed her silence, her fading smile. Amara, what is wrong? Is it the wedding stress? He asked as they dined at a fancy restaurant, the city lights glowing outside the glass walls. Amara forced a smile. I am fine, but halfway through the meal, a couple at the next table moved away, frowning at the air. Chuka's face hardened. For the first time, doubt entered his eyes. Back in her apartment, Amara broke down. Ngozi held her hand. Do you want to cancel the wedding? She asked softly. Amara shook her head fiercely. No, I will marry. I deserve happiness. This curse will not stop me. Her voice shook with both fear and determination. The night before the wedding rehearsal, Amara fainted. Neighbors rushed in, covering their noses, whispering about demons. At the hospital, doctors examined her but found nothing. One doctor murmured, "It is not medical. This is something deeper." Amara overheard and shivered. Detective Salami, curious, visited the hospital. He asked the doctors questions and scribbled notes. His instincts told him this was not ordinary case. He visited Pastor Daniel, a calm man with kind eyes. Pastor Daniel listened carefully and said, "Beauty cannot hide truth. If this woman is cursed, only light can expose it." In the morning of the wedding, Lagos was alive. Cars honked, buses decorated with ribbons zoomed by, and churches rang their bells. Amara's house was filled with laughter, makeup artists and photographers. She wore her gown, white, shiny and perfect. But a moment, she looked like an angel. But as she moved, the smell crept back, invisible but powerful. Ngozi noticed it first. She sprayed more perfume on Amara and whispered, "Don't worry. Today is your day. Smile, my sister." Amara smiled weakly. Deep down, fear was swallowing her whole body. The wedding hall was grand. Chandeliers hung like frozen stars. The floor glittered, and guests wore their finest lace and suits. Chuka stood at the altar, tall and confident, his luxedo shining. When Amara entered, gossips filled the hall. She was breathtaking. Cameras flashed, and whispers of admiration rose. But slowly, the air changed. People shifted uncomfortably. Fans whirled faster, but the odor spread like smoke. Some guests covered their noses with handkerchiefs. Murmurs ran through the crowd. What is happening? Where is that smell coming from? Amara walked down the aisle, her steps graceful but heavy. She saw faces turning away, hands covering noses. Her heart thundered, louder than the wedding drums. She reached Chuka, who took her trembling hand. His eyes darted around nervously, but he held her still. The pastor began, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here." But his voice faltered as the smell thickened. Some guests stood to leave. The hall buzzed with confusion. Amara's beauty and gown glittered, but the curse was now stronger than perfume or roses. Suddenly, a cry rose from the back. "She is cursed!" An old woman shouted. Gasps filled the hall. Mama Ifoma stood shaking. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Yes, it is true," she cried. "When her father betrayed a woman long ago, she cursed his child. That child is my daughter, Amara." The hall exploded with whispers, shock and fear. Chuka's face went pale. He looked at Amara, then at her mother. "Is this true?" he whispered. Amara's tears filled over. "Yes, my love, I am cursed, but my heart is pure. Please, don't leave me." Detective Salami stepped forward. This is no ordinary curse. It follows true blood. If the wedding continues, the husband must accept it too. All eyes turned to Chuka. The room grew silent, waiting for his answer. Chuka's chest rose and fell. He looked at Amara, her glowing face, streaked with tears, her trembling hands clutching his. The smell was strong, burning his nose, but his heart beat stronger. Amara, he said slowly, beauty fades, curses linger, but love is eternal. Gasps filled the hall. Chuka turned to the pastor. Continue. The pastor, shaking but moved, cleared his throat and went on with the vows. Guests whispered in disbelief, but the ceremony pressed forward. When it was time, Chuka said loudly, I do. His voice was steady, even as some guests covered their noses. Amara's turn came, her lips trembling. I do, she whispered, tears running freely. At that moment, thunder rumbled outside, shaking the glass windows. At that moment, thunder rumbled outside, shaking the glass windows. The pastor lifted his hands. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. He declared them husband and wife. Some clapped weakly, others rushed out, but Chuka kissed her gently, ignoring the whispers, ignoring the smell. Mama Ifoma wept loudly, both from shame and relief. She had feared the curse would destroy Amara's life, but now she saw love strong enough to stand against it. She whispered, maybe love can heal what curses cannot. After the ceremony, the couple stepped outside. The city greeted them with horns, cheers, and flashing cameras. Children ran after the limousine, shouting, bride, bride. The smell still followed, but Chuka held Amara's hand firmly, smiling. Detective Salami watched from afar. He scribbled in his notebook, case closed or just beginning. He knew courses did not end so easily, but he also knew love had power beyond logic. He could keep his eyes open. At the reception, music rolled, people danced, and plates of jollof rice and fried chicken filled the hall. Some guests stayed away, but many celebrated anyway. Amara danced with Chuka, her gown swelling, her laughter rising like bells. For a while she felt free. But later in the night, as she sat alone by the balcony, the smell returned, heavier than ever. She covered her face and wept softly. Chuka came to her, lifted her chin and whispered, we will fight this together. You are not alone. In that moment, Amara believed him. The city lights glowed below. Cars moved like fireflies, and music floated from distant streets. The cause was still real, but love wrapped her like a shield. Mama Ifoma joined them, placing her hands on their shoulders. My daughter, this cause may last, but love is greater. Even a rotten rose can make the garden beautiful if cared for. Amara smiled through tears. As the night ended, the couple drove away through the city. Neon signs lit their paths, and fireworks burst in the sky. The smell followed quietly, but their hearts were louder. The city would always whisper, but they would always hold hands. And so began their journey, a beautiful pregnant bride, cursed but loved, a husband brave enough to embrace both her beauty and her burden, and a city that could never forget the bride whose perfume was stronger than roses, yet carried a smell that no one could deny. The story of Amara could be told for years, not as a tragedy, but as a proof that sometimes love is stronger than shame. And with this, we have definitely come to the end of this beautiful story. Hope you learned a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and please, if you have not followed this channel, please turn on your notification bell button and press it to get notified whenever we upload new videos and new stories like this. Thank you once again. I'll surely see you on my next. Bye bye.